Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Niagara Falls. I'm Reverend Sue Frawley. It's my honor and privilege to be in the pulpit this morning, and we are going to begin with some prelude music from Max.
Inside, I never knew I needed you until you left my side. The tides have turned, my vision's blurred, my heart's under attack. How long till the world turns white and black? Now I can say I've been somebody's person. Was I the first one? I don't know. Do I know how it feels to be a lover? What it takes to make another's day and blow their stormy clouds away. I'm heartbroken, heartbroken.
Thank you so much, Max. And so, as we get ready to begin, let me do our land and social justice acknowledgement. The land that this church sits upon was stewarded by the Haudenosaunee people. It is our privilege and our honor to keep it as a holy and sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, social justice is part of our way of being together. It is part of our covenant. It is part of our values. And so with that, we hope that we will always rise up and side with those who are marginalized and oppressed in our community, and always, always be on the side of love. So I call you to be present. Take a moment to turn off your phones. Let yourself just settle into your seat. And just take in this morning, take in everything about our sanctuary, which is different every Sunday morning, depending on the light and the temperature and everything else that we bring in here. So just take a moment so that you can be present. For our opening words, Unitarian Julia Ward Howe is well regarded as the person who began Mother's Day. And while today is not Mother's Day, I'm remiss anywhere in May where I don't talk about her actions. Julia Ward Howe was very upset about the war taking place in these United States, and she wrote her proclamation, and she said this: "Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own, and it says, disarm, disarm, disarm. She began advocating for the creation of a Mother's Day for Peace, which would be held in June. And that lasted about 25 years. And then later, a Methodist, Anna Jarvis, campaigned to have a national Mother's Day, which would honor the important role of mothers. And by 1917, Mother's Day was a national observation. But I always love to bring in times to give a little bit of history and a little bit of our footmark that we have in this world as Unitarians. And so we are going to do our chalice lighting, and our usher of the day will come forward and light our chalice. And if we can all read together the chalice lighting words, which you'll find in your order of service. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, and to serve you, Spirit of freedom. And so I invite you to find hymn 175 in your hymnal. We celebrate the web of life. Patty will play us in and then begin us in singing together. We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole in cactus and in quail, as much in tunic, not blue whale. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our bones link stone to star, and bind our future worlds to come with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave us all creatures birth. The lives of all that share the glory of the earth. And so it is part of our covenant and being together, part of our ritual and tradition, that we take time to share the joys, the sorrows, and the concerns that are on our minds and hearts. It's been my tradition since October 7th, almost 2 years ago, to light the first candle and to ask that all who are held as hostages across the world be returned and that peace reign. And today especially, I ask that the memories always be for blessing of Sarah and Yaron, 2 people who were killed outside the Israeli embassy this week. I invite you to come forward and share your joys, sorrows, and concerns.
As you know, we are watching a dog for the next 6 months, and like a really big joy was last week, I think it was last Sunday or the Sunday before, we found a dog park in North Tonawanda. The whole island is dogs, and it's like doggy heaven. We just went there and let the dog free, and it was just so cool and so joyous. And then yesterday we went to somewhere outside of Rochester. It was a dinosaur exhibit, and it was a big, huge farm. We got to drive through, and Emerson got a Nerf gun, and at every single dinosaur station, he got to shoot the Nerf gun, and then there's just a slew of dinosaur facts, and he loves facts, and he was picked up to be the volunteer to build the Allosaurus leg, and he had a great time, and it was just a great day. It wasn't sunny and beautiful, but that actually worked out to our favor because there weren't long lines, and then there's one rope swing. And it's just like, this was free. You didn't even have to pay a ticket or anything. And he went down and he said, "Oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever experienced in my life, Mom. Oh my goodness." He just had such a good time and nobody was there, so he just kept doing it over and over and over, having a great time.
Okay, so this is neither a joy or a concern. This is just me being vexed. When you sleep at night and you happen to sleep on your side, do you ever get your ear, like the whole thing over, and you wake up and your ear is like, it's really annoying. You wake up and you walk around for half the morning with earache. Never mind.
Hi, we have not been to this particular church before. We've been to other Unitarian churches. But I have to say, I noticed the beautiful cape or shirt that you're wearing with all the pretty colors, the reds, the purple, the blue. I find all the colors joyous, and people. It's nice to see different people, different colors, whether it is your clothing or it's your skin. And hello, everyone.
Is there somebody online that wanted to share? Okay, just checking. So he's too modest to do this for himself. But my Max, and as he's been coming here and singing to all of you for almost 10 years, your Max was named Music Student of the Year at Amherst High School this week. I'm very proud of him. Is there anyone else who wishes to share any joys, sorrows, or concerns? For all the joys, for all the sorrows, for concerns, for those that have been shared, and those that are held in hearts and in minds, to all of these we give our best intentions, our best energy, and we bless them, amen and awomen. So our spiritual practice moment this morning comes in line with the sermon, which is, what's the buzz with the bees? Which will make sense a little bit more when we get into the sermon. But this particular spiritual practice story, which I'm going to read for you, tells a little bit about why we're looking at that today. And this comes from an article called Bee Talk. I do not have the author, but let me share it with you this morning. Bee Talk. The custom of telling the bees is a charming and ancient tradition where beekeepers inform their bees about significant events in their lives, such as deaths, births, marriages, and other major occurrences. This practice is believed to have its roots in Celtic mythology, where bees were seen as messengers between the human world and the spirit world. The presence of a bee after a death was thought to signify that the soul was leaving the body. The tradition became particularly prominent in the 18th and 19th centuries in Western Europe and the United States. To tell the bees, the head of the household, or the good wife, as the reference was then, would approach the hives, gently knock to get the bees' attention, and then softly murmur the news in a solemn tone. This ritual was believed to keep the bees informed and to prevent them from leaving the hive or from dying. And the custom underscores the deep connection and respect that people historically have had for bees, viewing them as integral members of the household and the community. And so now we will take up our offertory, which goes to serve the very good works of this church. Spirit of life, unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Are we good? We have to check in with our tech world. All good? Making sure I'm on. It doesn't feel like it. Oh, I did this. The clip holder for this keeps coming out, so we just reattach it so y'all can hear. There we go. So Lynn Unger, writer, beloved poet, often quoted and used in many UU services, wrote this entitled Bees. What makes you believe the world will continue? For me, it's the bees, diligently attending to my raspberry patch. I was afraid they wouldn't be back. I was afraid that the cold, wet spring, combined with all the other perils, would turn my raspberries to wallflowers with no one to dance attendance. And for a few days, it was true. Flowers opening, just a single bee to be seen. And I wondered if the little raspberries had put on their tiny little white skirts for nothing. I don't know what shifted. Maybe someone delivered the invitation properly, perhaps engraved. And now the corner of my yard is a ballroom of bumblebees and honeybees and little tiny black bees. I thought they were flies at first, all swirling and whirling around, through and around, and me, just needing to refocus my eyes to see them. This is how the world goes on, and we are here to bury our face in sweetness and dance. I thought that writing by Lynn Unger was a good way to move into our sermon today, which is about bees, or what is the buzz about bees? And it's appropriate because our seventh principle, as it was, would say, respect for the interdependent web of life, of which we are a part. And we sang a song as well this morning that talked about our connection to that interdependence. As some of us know, in time, we moved from having principles to values, which really weren't that different. It's just that the principles sort of morphed into a values overview, and instead of love being the first part, our inherent worth and dignity of all people, it became the umbrella from which all of the values that we hold as Unitarian Universalists exist. And in those values is the value of interdependence, in which we recognize the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of nurturing sustainable relationships based on care, respect, and justice. And bees are probably one of the greatest parts of our interdependence. So think about it for a second, in your heads, just, I'm not going to ask you to say out loud. What do bees do? What is their role in this interdependence of which I speak, this presence within the World Wide Web? Think for a second, just in your head. Get yourself in touch with bees, have that bee moment. Because bees play a crucial role on Earth by acting as pollinators, which is essential for plant reproduction and ultimately food security. But they also produce valuable resources like honey, beeswax, royal jelly. In fact, the UN environmental programs have actually set aside a special day in May just to celebrate bees. But here's a greater look at their importance as well. We talked about the pollination, how they facilitate the transfer of pollen between plants, enabling them to reproduce. And as such, then, we have fruits and seeds and nuts. And this is critical for a wide range of crops and wild plants. They're vital for pollinating many other food crops as well, which again contributes significantly to global food security. And for ecosystem health, by supporting plant reproduction, bees contribute to the overall health and stability of ecosystems, which in turn provides food and shelter for other animals, and a value within the economic system. The crop production that relies on bees is estimated to be worth billions of dollars. Bees also provide an important source of income for many rural livelihoods. The western bee is the most widespread managed pollinator globally, and more than 80 million hives produce an estimated 1.6 million tons of honey annually. Makes you look at the bee a little differently. Even beekeepers. I was sharing this with a group way out in Orleans County, and as it was, one of the women who was in attendance, her husband is a beekeeper out in Berry Center, and had lots of stories about what it's like to be a beekeeper, which it is not the easy job you would think it would be, as she went on to talk about. And she also had shared about just how fragile bees can be, how keeping the hives alive and present during winter months, or, and you may know this, if the queen dies, it has to be replaced or the entire hive becomes extinct. That's an interesting point as well. When we're thinking about communal connections, we are a communal covenantal group. We don't have a queen, we share responsibilities, but if that leadership dies away, sometimes it's very difficult for those that are left to come together and keep that hive or keep that group together. And we see that in bees, in churches, in governments, in communities. Their life is reflected in so many parts of who we are as well. They hold a lot of symbolism in various religions and cultures. Oftentimes, bees are represented by showing hard work, community, and divine blessings. In Christianity, honey and bees are associated with God's blessing, strength, and even some references to Christ. Bees themselves can often symbolize the Virgin Mary and the celibate life of monastics. In Hinduism, bees are linked to love and fertility and the Vedic texts, while in Buddhism, honey is a welcome offering to monks and nuns. It is seen as a great gesture of respect. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians referred to bees as messengers from the gods. And we already heard in one of our readings that in the Celtic tradition, that was exactly how bees were seen, that they were these messengers that went between that thin veil of life on earth and life in other planes. Bees are mentioned multiple times, believe it or not, in the Bible. Bees in a swarm are often viewed as a prophetic occurrence. And bees can be seen as a symbol of rebirth or new beginnings. Their role in pollination helps plants to grow and thrive, represents the cycles of life and renewal. And spirituality, encountering a bee may suggest that it's time to embrace a new phase in your life or that a fresh start is on the horizon. There are some who take the encounter with the bee as a chance to run and scream and douse oneself in all kinds of things. By the way, bounce fabric sheets work really well to keep them away from you if you're outside, or you tuck them in your pants if you're hiking. Just an aside. But bees are vital to our survival, and we to theirs. It's an important thing to have bees in our life. And if you've never heard the story, as we shared already today, about telling it to the bees, I want you to think for 1 second, I'm not going to ask you to say it out loud or share with anyone around you, what would be something, what message would you like to tell a bee today? What would be important to tell them, to make them feel connected, to tell them about the world, to let them know the news, so that they will continue to be present? Think for just a second. What message would I want to give to a bee? And the thing is, we can do that. We can do it either with a bee, if you're brave, and don't break out and at things if you get stung, or you can also do it virtually, just in general, to the greater scope of the world or near some rose bushes nearby. But no matter what, be a good steward. Doobie, doobie, doobie good. And so we are at the part, there's a chair. This is my favorite part of coming together as church, because for those who've never been here before, I'm but a guest in the pulpit. My voice leads us, but it is the voice of the congregation that own this pulpit. It is your voice that is more important than any other voice here present. And so we do something called Talkback. And Talkback is your opportunity to say whatever is on your mind, either something from today's sermon or one of the readings or whatever just happens to come into your mind as you're sitting here. It's all welcome. Even criticism, critique, or correction. It has happened, and I welcome it. It's all good. So, at this time, I welcome you to talk back.
Testing. Testing.
Eric and I were running a little late today, and I think we missed the joys and concerns, and I wanted to share a very important joy that occurred in our lives on Wednesday, I believe. And you know that I had applied for Eric to come to the United States to join me to live here in Niagara Falls 14 months ago. And other than USCIS stating that they had received the application, we hadn't received any real notification. And I called a couple of times and was basically told, you know, be patient, don't contact us, we will contact you. So when I went to the USCIS website midweek, I checked to see approximately how long it was going to take before we would get word whether Eric would be allowed to come or not. And the date that I received was February of 2026, which would be about 2 years since application. So naturally my heart sank, Eric's heart sank. And I remember Susan sharing some information about the International Institute here in Buffalo that might help. And then last week, for the first time, I met a gentleman who was here for the first time because apparently he works on Sundays. I think his name is Don, I might be mistaken. But he said, oh, Marshall, you know, you can contact your congressman. So when we received that notification that it would take until February of 2026 to get word, I contacted my congressman's office. I called and spoke with a lovely young lady named Giovanna. And she said, yes, we'd love to help you. She conducted me to a website for the congressman and said, fill out this form, explain everything, submit it, and we will assign a helper for you. So I was in the process of doing that, and I was just about complete. And I was just about ready to press the send button, and something within me said, check your email. So I checked the email, and it was from USCIS, and the title of the email said, approval. And I'm thinking, you're kidding, right? So I found the document, and it basically said that Eric has been approved by USCIS to come to the United States, which was great. And they did say, however, that they were sending the application on to the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department. And, you know, I'm really hopeful. You never know what's going to happen with the Department of Homeland Security or the State Department. So I'm optimistic, we're optimistic, and if we don't hear from them in 45 days, we can contact them. So I wanted to share that joy with you. Thank you. Thank you, and we will definitely keep you posted. So thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to share that. Yeah, thanks.
Sounds like it's so I don't know. Give it your best shot.
Just want to point out that it occurs to me that celebrating the pollination that bees do is, of course, worthy, but it has absolutely no contact with anything they do intentionally. It's absolutely and purely just a byproduct. They have nothing for or against pollination. They're just going there to collect food.
I love it.
I also had that same thought when she said, you know, what would you like to speak to the bees? I was thinking, like, just keep doing what you're doing. We're thankful, you know, like they're not doing it for us, but they're just part of the web of life. So just keep doing what you're doing. I thought about a book I read recently called Mad Honey, which was it was a drama, but the woman was a beekeeper, and it was a really good book. But I was also thinking about my son, and I knew like all these bee facts because we go to farms and we read a lot, learn about bees. And I was thinking how, like when I was a kid, I remember being like, if you see a bee, you squish it, you're afraid of it. But now it's like a totally different mindset. Like he's never even heard of like somebody squishing a bee, and he's 7. And like if somebody squished a bee, he would probably like freak out and cry. Like it's just different. The kids nowadays really appreciate the bees. So I'm glad that something's changing.
I would just like to say, I don't know where you grew up, but where I grew up, we didn't squish bees.
Oh, no.
The question is, screen, how many people here have been stung by an actual bee versus a wasp? You've actually been, because I've only been stung by wasps. My kids, I had a wasp sting my daughter 6 times when she was trying to save a neighbor kid from a wasp nest inside of a playhouse. But none of my kids have ever been stung by a bee. I've never been stung by a bee, but the wasps we have been. And wasps are pollinators too, and if they're far away, they're okay. But if I had a nest above my door, it's going bye-bye. The bees can live though. Yep. And it doesn't hurt as much, and it doesn't hurt as long. Wasp stings are evil. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry. He wants it next.
Yeah, my grandfather was a beekeeper. His name was Ralph Morgan. He passed away when I was about 14 years old. And I do remember that he often brought honey over to the house, which my mom used on a regular basis. He brought honeycomb that was in it had a wooden frame around it. And we used to spread that on toast in the morning for breakfast. And I know that honey is used in a wide variety of applications. And he also made candles out of beeswax. And my mom, my grandfather's daughter, she had us go door to door with samples of the beeswax candles to take orders from people who might be interested in purchasing them. So bees have provided mankind with a tremendous amount of benefits, whether it's food, whether it's light from the beeswax, or a wide variety of other things. So they help to sustain mankind.
The people on Zoom can't hear you when you just talk without the microphone.
Okay. For wounds that do not heal, wound centers will ultimately use honey. I believe they mix it with sterile cornstarch and some kind of substance like that, a carrier, and they will pack the wound with honey when all the medicines fail. Honey will work as an antibiotic. I've used it because we camp, we used to backpack, and I have used it. And sometimes, or my dog slices me with her lovely nail, honey will heal that wound. Honey also will last forever, centuries, millennia, if it does not get wet. So keep that in mind. Honey does not go bad if you don't get it wet. So it is like a miracle substance.
Yeah, I think it is important to differentiate among the different kinds of stinging insects, because when I was about 12, I had a very bad encounter with a bunch of yellow jackets who came down our chimney, and I stepped on them, a whole bunch of them at once. It wasn't pretty, but they love to sting. Yellow jackets have a very foul temperament, and they seem to just love to sting. Most other stinging insects don't. Honeybees don't really want to sting. Bumblebees don't. Wasps, the big black, long, gangly wasps, they don't really want to sting. So I guess the thing is, it's a matter of what kind of an insect it is. That said, makes me think about human beings and how we compare to the bees. And I've been thinking that in recent times, there's been a tendency for some of our kind to attack others of our kind, seemingly for no reason. And that, I guess, would make them more like yellow jackets. And then you have the more productive creatures among us who want to mind their own business and care for one another, and they leave you alone, and they don't bother anybody that doesn't bother them. So interesting lesson from nature, maybe something to compare.
Just a science fact, the reason honeybees don't want to sting you is because when they sting you, they become eviscerated. Their stinger is stuck into their intestines, and they die. Whereas yellow jackets and wasps aren't actually stinging you, they're biting you.
Well, wasps, I'm not sure about yellow jackets, are stinging you, but the stinger is straight. It doesn't have a barb, so they can jab and pull back out without hurting themselves. I was stung by a honeybee once in my entire life when I was a little kid, doing the kind of bothering bugs that little kids do. So, but I wanted to mention, sadly, that the current, let's politely call it administration, just slashed the budget for the agency responsible for researching how to combat hive collapse disorder. I think it was 40%, but I might have it flipped, it might be 60% of all honeybee colonies collapsed last year, leaving the honeybee industry that supplies pollinators for things like almond groves scrambling. And scientists have been working to try and fight that. So because that's a good thing, the current administration cut that.
I think Susan's original question was what we would say to the bees. Isn't that what you said? Okay. All right. So, and by the way, I have been stung by bees twice. Both times I made the mistake of walking in clover. So that's where they like to be. But anyway, so I only have bees on one part of my yard. I no longer have clover because I keep killing it. But I have lavender and they love it. And so next time I walk past that lavender, I'm going to talk to them from a distance, and I'm going to just tell them how much I appreciate it, because that's a very interesting thing that you said. And also the other thing I was thinking is what Bill said, that there's a real lesson from the bees of how to work together, not fight, have a common goal, and it's something we could really learn from the bees.
Susan? Oh, I'm not on, right? I was just going to say, if you've never had lavender honey, that's another thing to look for. A lot of the farmers markets will have that later in the season, and there's a place from Orleans County. And yeah, again, where they draw their stuff from has a lot to do with the flavors, but lavender honey is the best. So, others sharing. Anything from online? No. Nope. Okay. I'll put the microphone. I'll put that back so you have to hold it. Thanks. Sure. So as always, I thank you for sharing, for talking back. It's a time for you to share with each other your thoughts, your feelings, your knowledge. It's also a time that we can practice that intentional listening that I've talked about since the beginning of the year, and that we always do, that we let each other know that we are hearing and listening to what each are saying. But above all, when you are in part of Talkback, you are ministering to me. And for that, I am very grateful, and I thank you for that. And so our closing hymn is number 298. Give you a minute to find that.
Let's just do the first and last verse.
First and last verses. And for those who might be new to our church, you might notice we don't stand for our hymns. That's why I don't say please stand. So we sit during our hymns. Senses and hear the earth call, feel the deep power of being in all, keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Give heed to the wide sky, take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship will end. And now it's time for announcements. So if anyone has any announcements that are good for the community and the congregation, please do share. You can use the mic.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a reminder, today is my last lecture in the 4-part series on American religious liberty. So that'll be after the coffee hour.
Just for anyone who's new, coffee is downstairs, and our coffee hour is not Timbits. It's usually some really nice food down there. At today's potluck, we have lots of pots down there. So everybody's welcome to come down after service.
Are there any other announcements that anyone wishes to share? I just want to share with you that on June the 5th, here in this sanctuary, it's a Thursday evening at 6:30, this church is going to be host to Niagara Pride's Blessing of Pride. There are going to be 5 different clergy members from varieties of different faiths, including spiritualist, Jewish, Lutheran, Presbyterian, and us. Patty's going to be playing a hymn for us. Max is going to be doing some music. We are actually going to be having a drag queen giving us a children's story that night. I dare say that has not happened in almost any church in Niagara Falls. It is an open and free to all community event. So put on your calendar June 5th, 6:30 in the evening, and I hope that you all can make it if you're in town. Also in June, the last Sunday of June, because it's always that 4th Sunday, will be Max's last time with you, because Max is going to be going to the Hart School of Music in Hartford, Connecticut in the fall. So if you're here, you'll get to enjoy him on his last Sunday.
Yay for Max, but for us.
And so our benediction for today. May blessings come down upon these bees and these beehives. May they multiply and be fruitful and be preserved from all evils, so that the product which comes from them may be used for good. Oh, bees, we thank you for your tireless work, for the beauty of your hives, and for the sweet gift of honey. May you be protected from harm, and may your colonies thrive. And Max has some music for us for postlude today. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Some days I'm just moving. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, let's extinguish our chalice. I'll do that. And if you would follow along and read the words from our order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for reminding me. Sometimes I just get going and I overlook. So, Max, postlude.
John, he was a writer. Who was John? John, he was a writer. Who was John? He was a writer. Then angels came from heaven down. See who would wear the crown. don't you ride no more. No. You write the Revelation. He was a writer. He wrote the Revelations. He was a writer. He wrote the Revelations. He was a writer. Then angels came from heaven down. See who would wear the crown. Seal up your book, oh John. John, don't you write no more. You write my name down, John. He was a writer. He wrote my name down, John. He was a writer. He wrote my name down, John. He was a writer. Then angels came from heaven down. See who would wear the crown. Seal up your book, oh John. Oh, don't you write no more. Oh. Thank you.